So good evening and welcome everybody to the 2017 Whitehall Township Candidates Forum. We greatly appreciate you coming out tonight. My name is Larry Cajun. I'm President and CEO of LA Advertising and Affiliates, and I'm also Chairman of the Whitehall Area Chamber of Commerce. And tonight I will be your moderator. Before we begin, I ask you to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we begin tonight's event, please allow me just a few minutes to recognize everyone who helped put this event together. First and foremost, a special thanks to both our sponsor and host of tonight's event, and that's Mr. Bob Zentz and his staff here at Fellowship Community. They put on a great event. They've done this for, I understand, a number of years now. We greatly appreciate it, and we hope tonight is as successful as the past events have been. Fellowship Community, for those of you who do not know, is a Christ-centered, continuing care retirement community that's recognized for its excellence in providing independent living, personal care, skilled nursing, short-term rehab, and memory care at all levels. Also sponsoring tonight's event is the Whitehall Area Chamber of Commerce, a proud sponsor and partner of the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber of Commerce. The Whitehall Area Chamber supports nearly 250 members. That's large and small businesses, not-for-profit organizations, small business owners, as well as individuals. With our partnership with the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber, that allows our members to access nearly 5,000 total members throughout our community at large. The Chamber's mission is to deliver value to its members through superior programs and services, act as advocates to advance business interests, unify the Valley businesses in the community to leverage regional resources and strengthen its collective voice, and to create opportunities for both business and individuals within the areas and communities that we serve. Assisting me tonight is Laura Long. For those of you who do not know Laura is Vice President of Independent Living here at Fellowship Community, or as many of us like to refer to her as VP of Fun. Laura will be walking around this evening gathering questions from you, our audience. So this is intended to be an interactive questioning event. The questions are intended to fully come from you. So please participate. If you have not seen Laura, she has a notepad for you, pens. Please write down your questions. She'll make sure she gets it up to me. Also helping out is Jessica O'Donnell, who is our Senior Vice President of Central Affiliated Chambers for the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber, or as I like to refer to Jessica as the Senior VP of Interconnectivity. Now that doesn't mean she operates our IT department at the Chamber, but rather Jessica and her team, including Greg, who's sitting alongside her, work very tirelessly, sometimes 7 days a week, days and evenings, quite frankly, and I know that for a fact because I see them in all the mixers that they attend and are responsible for facilitating and hosting. But it's their responsibility to help our members get connected in the community, both here locally and at large. And we can only do that through our partnership with the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber. This evening, Jessica will be managing the time clock. A bell. Is that your bell?
Yes, from the office.
From the office. In addition, Matthew Cajun of LA Video Production, or what I like to refer to as my son. Matt will be videotaping tonight's event to be posted on the Whitehall Township website shortly after tonight's evening's event, so you can view it again at your leisure. Lastly, everyone who helped out in the background to assist with preparing for tonight's event, I just want to mention them quickly. Rick Mulchaney, who's our Director of General Services for the County of Lehigh. Many of you, I'm sure, know Rick. Rhonda Bastian of Sailaway Events and Travel, also a Whitehall Area Chamber Board member. Elizabeth Martell, Assurance First Land Abstract, also a board member of the Whitehall Chamber. And Mary Jo Roma, a virtual specialist, also a Whitehall Area Chamber board member. And we do have many board members, part of the chamber. Another board member that's here tonight is Eric Eberhardt of Eberhardt Motors. So please give everyone an applause for helping us. So before we begin, please allow me to introduce you first, our Mayor, Edward Hoza, who would like to speak briefly.
Good evening, everyone. I also want to point out we have two Whitehall Township commissioners who are in the audience who are enjoying the evening because their terms are not up this cycle and they don't have to be in the hot seats tonight. And they are sitting in the back, Board of Commissioner President Phil Armstrong, and also Commissioner Jeffrey Dutt. In addition, the current Township Treasurer Tax Collector is here, and that's Diane Hunsaker. Diane will be completing a second term in end of December, and she is looking forward to spending even more time with her grandchildren. But at this time, I'd like to thank Diane for her years of service, not only as the elected tax collector, but also as an employee of the tax department as well. So tonight is very critical that we in the United States of America, in what we call this democracy, can come here and view local candidates, listen to what they have to say about issues affecting us here at the local level, and in particular Whitehall Township. It is very unique that our founding fathers gave in their opening statements of the Declaration of Independence and also the following Constitution, that the local level was still going to be one of the most important aspects of a democracy. And we have seen in history that great changes in our country, many come from the local level, and not the state, not the county, not the federal level. So I applaud anyone today who runs for public office, but also who runs for local office. Because it is, and it can be, as my wife sitting in the back can attest, it can be, it's a sacrifice for your family. And it is also, it has its good days, where things are accomplished, and it has its bad days. But hopefully the good days outweigh the bad days. At this time, one of our candidates, who is a current commissioner, asked me to make a few remarks about his absence tonight. And that individual is Thomas Slonaker. Tom has spent 2 weeks at Lehigh Valley Hospital, and he is now at home recovering from a very serious illness. And it was his wish to try to be here tonight, but his doctors advised him not to. Tom wishes everyone well, and he hopes to, knowing Tom, start hitting the bricks and ringing on doorbells as soon as the physicians give him the okay to do so. But in addition, this is the first group of candidates in Whitehall Township that will come under the guidance of the new ordinance that came about because of the issues in the city of Allentown. And it is a pay-to-play ordinance. Every candidate that is on the ballot must, the day they submit their campaign finance forms to Lehigh County on who donated money to their campaign or how they obtained funds for their campaign, those forms must also be turned into Whitehall Township in sealed envelopes addressed to the Whitehall Township Ethics Board. So it is a credit to the current Board of Commissioners and also to our Ethics Board for taking the steps to make sure that our Home Rule Charter, which is our Constitution, continues to be the model for our community in terms of ethics. So I'm very proud of the board. I had a little hand in it with the solicitors that are employed by the township in crafting an ordinance of pay-to-play that would ensure that what is going on now in the city of Allentown would not happen here in Whitehall. So thank you all for coming out. This is a great turnout, and enjoy the festivities or the evening as it progresses. Thank you.
So let's meet our candidates. Before I invite you up to the table for questioning, I'll ask you to please stand up as I call your name. We do have 3 open seats for the Board of Commissioner. There are 6 candidates. All were invited to tonight's event. We have 3 here in attendance this evening. And those include Joseph Marx, Democrat, current appointed BOC member, Shawn Clary, Democrat, and Antonio Peneda, Republican. So if you could, 3 of you could just stand or raise your hands. For treasurer tax collector, we have 2 candidates on the ballot due to the retirement, as Mayor had mentioned. And they include Colleen Gober, Democrat, and Edward Koren, Democrat. So let's go over tonight's rules. You, the audience, as I mentioned earlier, will be submitting questions to Laura. And I have a number of them here already, but I'd like more if you can, please. I will ask the candidates to answer the questions that you submit. We'll ask each candidate a question. They'll each have an opportunity to answer it, and they'll have 1 minute to do so. And Jessica, again, will keep track of that. Each candidate, as I said, will get 1 minute, but let me just state that there are no rebuttals. This is not a debate. So let me repeat, this is not a debate. You're each having an opportunity to answer the same question posed to the entire group. In all fairness, what we'll do is, as each question is posed, we'll take turns allowing each of you to answer the question first. Once seated at the table, I'll have each of you speak because there are fewer candidates tonight than we anticipated. I'll give you each 2 minutes for an opening statement. And we just ask that you give your name, your background, your experience, your credentials, whatever else you want to say in those 2 minute time period. And then at the conclusion, we'll ask you for a closing statement as well. We'll give you 2 minutes for that also. And I would expect that you would state why you're the most qualified. It's essentially what I would want to hear. So let's begin. We'll start with the first group of candidates, the Board of Commissioner. Again, that includes 2 Democrats, 1 Republican. We'll have you set up the table together, if that's okay. We were originally going to split you up tonight, but it would be fair just to have 1 of you up here alone. So if you could please step up to the table and we'll get started. So we'll start from left to right. We'll ask each of you to give an opening statement, 2 minutes, starting with Mr. Marx.
Hi everyone, thanks for coming out. My name is Joseph Marx. I'm married to my lovely wife Colleen, and I have 2 sons. One served honorably in the United States Coast Guard and now lives out of the area in Washington, D.C. with my two lovely grandchildren. My youngest is currently enrolled at Penn State University. Currently, I serve on the Board of Commissioners as an appointee. I was appointed just under a year ago. I was honored and humbled to get that appointment. I served on our Planning Commission for 4 years honorably. I served almost 8 years on our Sewer Authority. I asked the board at the time of my appointment if I could continue to be and serve on the Sewer Authority. It's my wheelhouse. I'm in the construction industry. I've been very successful over there, or I think I have been, and we have a great authority. We have a great staff. We have a great board. We're very proactive. We take it very seriously. We have some of the lowest rates in the state and probably one of the best run authorities in the country. We've been told that by many parties. I'm honored to be here. I would love to answer any questions that you may have, and thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Peneda? Sure.
Hi everyone, my name is Antonio Peneda. I live in Fullerton. First I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce and everyone here. It's great to see how many people care about this community. I graduated from Whitehall in 2009. I graduated from Columbia University in 2013 with a degree in environmental engineering. I am currently a design engineer in the cement mining industry, and I also coach football at Deer High School, and I am a volunteer coach for the Whitehall Middle School Science Olympiad team. I care deeply about this community. I have a great experience in mining and environmental work. I know how everything with quarries and stormwater and air pollution should be run. I feel that we need to do more about recognition for volunteers in this area and local businesses that have been in this area for a long time. I look forward to answering any questions you may have. I care deeply about this community and I want to serve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Clary?
Since you came down, tell me I'll come down too. We got it done. Good evening, everyone. My name is Shawn Clary. I'd also like to thank the Chamber of Commerce tonight for hosting this forum, as well as Fellowship Manor. Truth be told, this is the first time I've ever been in this place, and I've lived here my entire life. So, what a beautiful facility, and I want to thank the people running it for putting themselves out. As I said, my name is Shawn Clary. I have lived in Whitehall, Copley community for 15 years. My wife Brooke here was here in the back, along with our two children. My daughter Grace, who is 14 years old, currently a freshman at Whitehall, and my son Finian, who's 12, who's now 6th grade at Whitehall Middle School. I am a 1988 graduate of Whitehall. After leaving high school, I went on to Kutztown University, where I earned a degree in criminal justice. After that, in 1996, I went to East Stroudsburg University to pursue a master's degree in special education. In the last 18 years of my professional life, I've been teaching at Whitehall County School District. For the most part, I've taught social studies, where I currently am 8th grade social studies for the last 8 or 9 years. But prior to that, I taught mathematics and students of special needs.
It goes quick.
Sorry. Sorry to kind of wrap it up, but anyway, I have spent 20 years, in fact, this coming year will be my 21st year coaching high school football. Last 15 will be with the Zephyrs. I've also coached track and field, as well as worked a all-season weight program. My involvement with the school district has been tremendous and a lot of great experiences. I also volunteer Copley Sports, where my kids started youth sports. I sit on the board of directors. I've been actively involved with them, as well as the Knights of Columbus, for those who don't know, is a Catholic service organization. You took way too much enjoyment in that. So anyway, a lot of volunteer work. I look forward to bringing that activity, that passion, that energy to the Board of Commissioners. Thank you very much.
And Mr. Marx, we'll allow you to step down. Okay, we have a question submitted here. We'll start with you, Mr. Marx, left to right. It's a pretty basic question, but I think it's a pretty telling one. And it was actually asked for the tax collector position, but I think it's appropriate to be asked of the Board of Commissioners as well. The question is, why do you want to be a Board of Commissioner?
I have a very honest question for that. I've served on boards and commissions in the township for the past almost 16 years. I currently serve on the Whitehall Township Veterans Memorial Committee. We're building a wonderful Veterans Memorial from the township building. Its dedication is going to take place on Memorial Day at 1 p.m. I honorably serve in our Marine Corps. I'm a veterans advocate. I feel very strongly that veterans were forgotten and that, for their service and their sacrifice, they should be remembered. The reason why I think I serve my community is I actually want my children to stay here in the community so I don't have to drive to Washington, D.C. and visit my grandchildren. I know it's sort of selfish, but I think we have a wonderful community here, and I would love to have my children raise their children here.
Mr. Peneda.
Well, essentially, I want to give back. This community has been fantastic to me. I moved here when I was 5 years old. My grandfather taught at the high school, which caused my mother to want to raise her family here. And I care deeply about this community. I've been here, I came back, went to school in New York, came back. I feel I have a skill set a knowledge set of the environmental issues in this area that I can give and make sure we keep everyone safe in this area. I also enjoy volunteering and showing how much I care. So I think I can bring great energy and passion to this area that is needed and could be useful.
Mr. Clary.
I would kind of echo the same thing as Tony said. I'm running for a simple reason to give back. I've been, like I said, I've been a resident and lifelong resident of this community since I'm 4 years old. It's all I know. I'm as Whitehall as they come. I always tell a story when my wife and I, 15, 16 years ago, we were looking for places to live. We didn't think very hard on where we were going to go. Whitehall was the place we were going to stay. It's the place where both of us work. Both of us live now. We're raising our family. It's exactly what we want out of the community. I want to see that continue. I want to see the community get stronger, hopefully through an increase in volunteer work with the community, and I look forward to making those things happen as being a part of the board.
Sure. Thank you. Mr. Peneda, we'll start with you first with the next question. We have a question here from the audience. Due to our aging population in Whitehall Township, how do you, as a commissioner, propose to address this growing demographic and the challenges that we'll be facing over the next 10, 20 years?
Well, it is growing, and it is important that we show that care and we show their importance in our community. The current commissioner boards, especially Mr. Dutt, worked hard to provide a senior center, and if we can work to expand on that and make that flourish, that would be a fantastic thing for the senior community. We also have to work hard to make sure that seniors have the ability to live here comfortably and keeping their tax burden as low as possible, while keeping the services, of course, in the township as equal level. So if we can expand the programs that are given at the senior center and watch that grow, I think that'll be a very important part of showing a community, senior community that wants to stay here and is felt welcome and thanked in this area.
Thank you. Mr. Clary?
the senior center, I think, was a tremendous idea, and I kind of wanted to, one of the things that I was hoping to speak about in my opening 3 minutes, was the opportunity to potentially have a community and recreation center down the road. Is my understanding with the project, with the hopeful project of the Emergency Services Center, that we have some land or some ability to maybe expand on that, or at least add the community rec center, something that I'm very passionate about, something I think it would be phenomenal for this area. But I would echo the same thing, that I'm not looking to add any extra taxes to anybody that is certainly on any kind of a fixed income. That is not something that I want to do. In fact, my mom's in that particular situation currently as well. So not something that I want to do, but I do think that that's a concern and certainly a need for the area for certain folks, that it can strengthen the community.
Mr. Marx?
If I could piggyback on these two gentlemen, I commend Mr. Dutt and his committee for the senior center. I was at the dedication ceremony. It was an unbelievable turnout. I know there's a real need. We have a lot of widows and widowers. And, the interaction and the everyday, loneliness that can come about is a very important characteristic of society, to have those people and give them the ability to get out, meet new people, participate in activities. I'm a strong advocate of it. Hopefully we'll see it grow. As Shawn had indicated, possibly, with the new public safety building, maybe we can incorporate a larger space because it was at max capacity that day. The other thing is, I talked to a lot of our infirm, our elderly in the township. I realize you're on fixed incomes. It's hard. A lot of people are suffering. My MO is, I'm not going to sit here and say, I'm never going to raise your taxes, because there's so many moving pieces to a municipality, a township. It's a tough cookie to crack. Pension liabilities, salaries, fuel costs, equipment, it goes on and on. Can I just close? What I'd like to say is, I'm fixed on trying to do the best and in the most economical way to help our seniors get through their day-to-day. Thank you.
Mr. Clary, we'll start with you next. Third question from the audience. As commissioner, what are your plans to build Whitehall's infrastructure?
Well, I thought about, and I continue to think about, ways to attract business and to continue to grow our changing economy. I think about the retail and some of the retail businesses that have moved out and what to do with that current space. I think about with some of the e-commerce and the effect that that's had on some of the retail industries. I think that is something that needs to be addressed. Discussions need to be about what maybe potential business to bring in, and maybe either tax deductions or tax break, or maybe breaks on the fees or permits and things like that to increase businesses that are coming into Whitehall.
Okay. Mr. Marx?
Well, I just participated in the adaptive reuse ordinance. I was the only commissioner who voted against it consistently. I wasn't opposed to the adaptive reuse measure. What I was opposed to was the bullying that took place by federal bureaucrats and the way they went about the way they did things. I've had some experience with state and federal bureaucracies. It's unfortunate that they came into our community and they marked us the way that they did. The adaptive reuse ordinance was a great concept and a great idea. It's very beneficial to the township because we take these blighted properties that are just paying minimum on the tax rolls, we redevelop them and make them active, vibrant, businesses, buildings, and we collect more tax revenues on it. Unfortunately, for all the goodness and thought that was put into that ordinance, it's in my opinion that, and hopefully moving forward, it will work if there aren't any legal challenges to it. It's unfortunate that you try to do something good for your community. You take 3 steps forward, but it seems you take 10 steps back now. So I'm hoping for the best.
Mr. Peneda?
To echo what Commissioner Marx has said, it's unfortunate what has happened with the adapt and reuse. You want to help the local community, but there's federal statutes, and then they tend to want certain things. They don't understand your community. In the local level, you understand your community more than a state or federal bureaucrat would. And as he stated, having these buildings that are empty full brings tax revenue, which helps the community. And having the reused building, readapted building also has an aesthetic feeling to it, which will bring even more people to the community. I would like to see recognition for local businesses that have been here for a long time, to keep them here through a certificate program that, so they feel more part of the community. And I think that will also encourage more businesses to come to the area. The county is changing rapidly economically. And I think Whitehall is in a prime position to be a part of that, since we're right next to the city of Allentown, and Whitehall itself is an amazing community.
Good, thank you. Mr. Marx, back to you. Along these lines, as many of us know, here in our backyard, in our own community, we have the Lehigh Valley Dairy property. It's a blighted brownfield, and despite our best efforts to attract buyers, developers, it's gone unused. Since our founding, the township of Whitehall has let the free market sort of dictate that process. If a developer came to us today, to the mayor, the board of commissioners, and said they would redevelop that entire property through some form of TIF, or CRIZ, etc., what would your attitude be to that request?
Well, that's our white elephant. That's our, that's to be the, I support any measure whatsoever, it be it, a CRIZ, a TIF, to get that property developed. It's a shame we have limited resources in a community like ours where we just cannot outright buy the property. But my understanding is to reclaim that property alone would cost millions and millions of dollars. It's unfortunate. That was built back in the day, and that was built for World War III, I believe, because I've looked at the structure. I'm not an engineer. It's a tough cookie to crack. I am fully supportive of any measures we can get to get a developer in there and get that property developed. It's not going to be easy. It's been tried time and time again. Unfortunately, communities like ours don't get those tax incentives drawn up as easily as other communities do. It's an unfortunate circumstance. I beg our local representatives, state and federal level, to support that concept and idea, and hopefully we can move forward with it in the future.
That is definitely a property that, if we had a pecking order of which property to change, improve, redevelop, it's probably 1A, 1B, 1C. It's unfortunate that it's right smack right when you enter the township. It's there for everyone to see. It's complicated. It has multiple property owners. It's a very old building. It's a lot of engineering concerns, environmental concerns. But I agree with Commissioner Marx wholeheartedly that any solution we can find to get that building bought and developed must be looked at, must be proficient and efficient and good for the township, but we should be open to anything that's possible, because that is unfortunately an eyesore and it needs to be reclaimed. And like Commissioner Marx said, it's unfortunately costs millions of dollars, and we usually do not get those programs. And I hope that, I do think it's possible, and we'll work to make that happen.
Good. Mr. Clary?
Just on the same line, I would agree with exactly what both individuals said. Clearly, that isn't a property. I mean, I don't think I was alive when it was actually running, because it seems like it's been the same way since for the last 30 years or so. It is a substantial amount of land. It requires a substantial amount of work and certainly a substantial amount of money to bring it up to code. I think, to partner with any kind of developer to kind of get that thing up and running would be most advantageous for our community and for the township.
Good. All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Peneda, right? Next. I have about 10 after. We're going to proceed for another 20 minutes, if that's okay with everyone. To 7:30. Everyone that knows me knows I like to stick to my timelines. So is that okay?
Is there a mic on?
Oh, there you go. We couldn't hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me all right? I mean, could you hear me?
Yeah, we could hear you. I was just making sure the line was working.
So, Mr. Peneda, this is a hypothetical question. Economists are predicting that the U.S. economy and the stock market are in for another correction. Let's hope not. The mayor and the administration, if the mayor and the administration were to report to the Board of Commissioners that corrections have to be made, and two options are given, which one would be your preference? Option A, hiring freeze, early retirement packages, layoffs. Option B, raise taxes. What choice would you make?
It's tough to answer that question since there's not full details as to what's occurring and how much would occur each part. Of course, you never want to raise taxes, but you also never want to lay off people that have jobs. If I could say a combination of both, most likely in most scenarios, if it's needed, hopefully we get through that. I'm hoping that there is no economic downturn. I would lean more towards option A personally, but for the rest of the community, but I would not do it in a way that would lower the services that this township requires or the township residents are used to.
Good.
And I would agree, working out. I would agree. I think if there's a way to have a hybrid plan in place, that would be ideal. If there's a way to promote or facilitate the buyouts or at least early retirements for some of the individuals so that you did not have to raise taxes, I think that obviously would be the best option. Nobody wants to hear that taxes are being raised. I mean, that doesn't, obviously that doesn't resonate well with anyone. But I would agree with what Tony said. I think that, if you're going to impact the services of your community and impact what is being done on a day-to-day basis, that something needs to be addressed. If you're going to lose 25 individuals and it's going to impact the services that are provided to the community, then that needs to be addressed. And that has to do with raising taxes, then I think that's something that unfortunately has to be done. But obviously I would look to, I believe, option A prior to option B.
Okay, Mr. Marx?
I would just like to commend Mayor Hosa and his administration and the bureau chiefs, the department heads. We went through that in 08. What the measures he took was to let the staff go at attrition. I agree with that concept. What did happen and what evolved after the attrition took place was some of our departments were understaffed. I don't think our emergency services or public services suffered from that, but our people were diligent. They were more proactive in the way they did things. I commend them for what they pulled off because it was a tough cookie to crack. When you have limited resources to start with and you run on a shoestring budget, to make something like that work is really a phenomenal act. I'm not for across the board attrition, retirements, layoffs. I would call it more of a hybrid approach. I'm for not raising taxes, but if it's necessary, I would rather raise taxes incrementally in very small numbers so you're not hit in the face like the county did to us over a decade ago with a 70% tax increase. I know a lot of our citizens are on fixed incomes. They can't afford that. They'll go without their meds because of their pride. They'll go out without their heat, their water, their sewer, whatever's necessary. And I think that's a shame. I'm not a career politician. I'm not going to sit here and say I'll never raise your taxes. It's a necessity sometimes, costs go up, you just have to deal with things. Thank you.
Good. Mr. Clary, I believe you're next. Similar question to the first question that was posed. How has your formal education or life experiences prepared you for this job? Please give an example.
I think, when I think about my experiences, and I don't regret anything, I always use the example of things I tell my own kids and things I tell the kids that I coach and teach. There really is not a bad experience. If anything else, you learn what not to do. So I think over the years, the things that I've been involved with in college, playing high school football, college football, coaching, teaching, it's always been about working with people. People is the X factor. And I think if you can really work with people, if you can get along with people, you don't always have to agree with them, but as long as you can work with people, you can get things done. You can make things happen. And that is the key. And I think that's probably the thing that I like to think that I bring the most to the table. And that's certainly not knocking anybody else out there, but what I bring to the table is that my passion for things and how I go about doing them. And I think, if I can, the perfect example would be certainly with coaching. Coaching football really is a working together. It's a process. You have 6, 7, 8 coaches that are all working together, all working for wins, all working for a common goal, but you each have your own part that you're responsible for. And if somebody doesn't do their part, then you see that breakdown. So that would probably be my best example of that. But ultimately, what it comes down to is working with people. I think is one of the biggest attributes.
Great. Mr. Marx?
Well, I know this may sound arrogant, but I was a United States Marine. Does that qualify me to change the world? Absolutely not. But the values and the commitment that I learned from the Marine Corps carries through me. It's in my DNA. When I do something, I'm all in. I take it very seriously. I'm diligent, I'm proactive, open-minded. I understand and I learn every day. No one has every answer. I'll give you an example. Yesterday we were working on the Veterans Memorial in front of the Township building. Myself and Commissioner Ginder were on our hands and knees. A citizen pulled up in his vehicle and yelled over to us, "I hope my tax money is not being used for that." Well, it was a personal affront to me as a Marine veteran, as an advocate for veterans. I walked over to the gentleman, collected myself, and calmly announced, "No, that this money was raised privately from our businesses and citizens, and that none of his tax dollars were used." I learned a lesson yesterday. I never in a million years thought that a statement like that would be made. That's what I'm all about. When I'm in, I'm all in. I take it very seriously, and I do the best that I can possibly do. Thank you.
Mr. Peneda?
Well, I have a Bachelor's of Science in Earth and Environmental Engineering with a concentration in sustainable energy and materials with a focus in mining. I currently work in the cement and mining industry as an environmental engineer. I know NESHEP regulations, I know MPTS regulations, and currently the township has a conundrum with core reclamation, and we do have a cement plant that's in operation in cement as well. And I feel that my experience and knowledge working with dust collection, mercury emissions, NOx, SOx, and stormwater makes me prepared for this position in a way that is unique, that I can handle these issues and have the knowledge set to know what the township has jurisdiction over, what the township can do, and how we can be proactive to make sure that these operations are done properly in the right manner and for the benefit of the citizens of the township.
Great. Mr. Marx, we're back to you again. Question from the audience. What are the three top needs in your mind of our community, and what would you do to address them?
Well, there's a lot of issues. The top 3 concerns of mine and the way I would address them, and I'm actually addressing them at this point because I serve on the board. The quarrying operations, the reclamation operations. I'm a full supporter of our community. I feel it's unfair and unjust that the people that own these properties have the opportunity to walk into our communities and basically blemish our environment and our way of life. Unfortunately, due to state and federal guidelines, we aren't allowed to take the action that is necessary to police these functions. It's unfortunate. I implore everyone to call their local legislator, their federal legislators, and ask that at this level of government, we live here. That old saying, you know where you eat, well, those people shouldn't have that opportunity. I'm the first guy to say everyone has to make a living, and because they own land, they're entitled to do what they want to do with it, as long as in fairness, they're doing the right thing. The second thing is this about the reuse ordinance. I pray that we don't have to defend this ordinance, that no one comes forward and takes a shot at us. I hope it ends well for the township. I'll do everything that I can to make it work, but it's a slippery slope. The third thing is public safety. We have to be proactive. We just appointed Chief Nelson, our fire chief, Chief Marx, our police chief. I was fortunate enough to serve on the board when they were both appointed. We're very lucky to have those two gentlemen. Professionalism is second to none.